Going for two, kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for two, sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this, multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top end. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the Armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo!
What is going on, and welcome to episode 281 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I'm your host, of course, Jeff Lambert, and you can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. Of course, we are live every Wednesday night on Facebook Live, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch, and of course on all major podcast networks. Had a little bit of a delay tonight with some audio issues, but I think we are good to go now. If you are on Twitter, as you can see across the bottom there, we cannot see your comments on Twitter come through our platform, so please go find us on YouTube. youtube.com/going4two live. And once you get there, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well. My co-host, as always, Mr. Ryan Steerfeld. What's up, Ryan?
Dude, no audio issues for me this time, which is really awesome. I don't know what happened, so I'm pumped about it. So let's go.
Good stuff. All right, and joining us for the first time from Northern Ireland, he's up at 2:00 in the morning here for us to join us, Mr. Evan Brown. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going, fellas?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. So, Evan Brown is the host of the Dynasty Debates podcast and a writer and ranker for Dynasty Nerds. You can follow him at FFEvanlution. So, real quick, Evan, give us a quick rundown of what it is you do over at Dynasty Nerds and a little bit about your podcast.
Yeah, man. Pretty much, at the minute during the season, I'm writing a weekly article for Dynasty Nerds just for Flex. So it's like a Let's Talk About Flex is called. So we just talk a couple players every week that you want to throw in your Flex for Dynasty. Maybe the guys outside the consensus. So looking for those gems, on the bench or maybe even on the taxi squad. And yeah, do Dynasty Debates podcast. Basically episodes every Tuesday and Thursday, do a recap of the week before and just a breakdown of the coming week with the awesome guests. So yeah, that's what's going on.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. We are still getting a little bit of feedback. I don't know what's causing it here, but we'll try to push through here. For some reason, Evan, when you lean forward, I don't know if you're getting your mic close set or something. It's causing feedback. I don't know what it is, honestly, but.
Oh, okay.
You were good when we rolled in, and then all of a sudden started doing it again. But we'll go ahead and we'll push through the show here. Let's go ahead and get into Bleep You Wednesday.
Hey, you know what? You.
All right, Evan, you're the guest here, so give us your Bleep You Wednesday player.
Oh man, there's so many to choose from, really, isn't there? Like, it's hard to narrow it down. I'm probably just going to go with, I was going to say DJ Moore because he's absolutely destroying me in multiple leagues, but I've come to the conclusion that it's probably more Baker Mayfield than DJ Moore, so I'm going to blame Baker Mayfield. He is literally, if you look at PFF grades, he's QB 36 on the year, which when there's only 32 starting quarterbacks, that's pretty impossibly bad. He's behind guys like Trace McSorley and Cooper Rush.
Yikes.
It's not good, man. He's 32nd in ADOT. He's 51.2% completion, 30th in big time throws. He's killing me, and I really can't take much more because DJ Moore is my most rostered player in Dynasty, so I'm about to jump off the bridge here.
Yeah, we are pretty big on DJ Moore as well, and me and Ryan are both been sweating it out. It eventually happens for him. We said he was quarterback proof, and he's proving to not be quarterback proof.
Baker is just
dude. It's not good.
Baker's out here killing careers, man.
It's not good when you're actually asking about the health of Sam Darnold. How's that Sam Darnold guy looking?
Yeah, he's looking pretty good right now. He wasn't too bad with him last year. All right, Ryan, what you got for your Bleep You Wednesday?
Yeah, I want to say Baker Mayfield's now taking down a second wide receiver. R.I.P. Odell Beckham first. But mine's Justin Jefferson, man. He's come in 2 weeks in a row and put up duds after just talking all offseason about being one of the best wide receivers in the league, which I support. But, man, you got to put up more than 16 yards this week. Like, it's unacceptable. Let's get this on, dude. If you're in this new wide open offense that you said was going to separate you and make you a star this year, then do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's too much, man. I don't know if it's Kirk Cousins, but Jefferson needs to do more, man.
Yeah, 100% agree there. And it's funny because I had those two on my list as well. I had DJ Moore and I had Justin Jefferson, so I'm gonna have to go with the third guy I had on my list. And I'm not sure who to blame. If it's Devancy Adams I should be blaming, or is it Derek Carr I should be blaming? But just in general, those two guys, after week one and what they did in week one, and got me all excited about my shares of Devancy Adams, and then to see what he's done in the last 2 weeks has just been brutal. I actually made some trades for Devancy Adams right before the season started, thinking that he was going to have this rapport with Derek Carr and it's going to be awesome. And after week one, I was feeling really good about my shares, and now all of a sudden it's like, what happened to Devancy Adams? They forgot about him. So yeah, that is my bleep you Wednesday, Mr. Devancy Adams and the Derek Carr connection that supposedly was going to be a match made in heaven, and so far it has not been that at all. All right, let's get to the news and notes.
News and notes from around the league.
All right, news and notes, as always, brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Single game and single week best ball leagues are here. If you love fantasy football, it's nothing better than weekly best ball leagues like Underdog offers. No need to wait to the end of the season to see if you won. You have a chance to win every week. Get the app for iOS or Android. Get our promo code GF2 and get a 100% deposit match up to $100. Underdog is one of the fastest growing fantasy platforms out there, and there's a reason for that. So please go see what all the hype is about. Get the app, use our promo code GF2, get your deposit match and start winning. All right, right off the top here, we're going to go with the Packers. Romeo Dobbs, ESPN's Rob. I can't pronounce his last name, so I'm not even going to try. But ESPN's Rob says he believes that Romeo Dobbs has wide receiver one upside in this Packers offense. Evan, what are your thoughts on Romeo Dobbs?
Man, it's really tough. It's tough to really say he's got wide receiver one upside. I mean, just with him being a rookie and only seeing the one game of him yet, but he definitely looked good, and he looked like he has that, trust in the connection so far with AR12. So, I mean, in redraft, he's certainly worth, if he's on your waiver wire, hopefully you pick him up, because, I mean, the way things have been going, like we just talked about DJ Moore, and if he's going to be, DJ Moore's wide receiver 96, so I'm going to be throwing Dobbs out there before I throw out DJ Moore at the moment, just because it's a sad state of affairs.
Yep, agreed 100%. What about you, Ryan? Are you buying his Romeo Dobbs thing, or you think it's just a one-game thing?
I mean, if he's on waivers, fine. I don't think I'm ever going to feel comfortable starting him until it's like multiple games of good production. But I trust nothing with this offense at this point outside of the running backs, and Aaron Rodgers probably getting his. He might be the number one just because no one's there, but Lazard's getting healthy. And we know that that Rodgers had the connection with him from last season. It was growing. And let's say Christian Watson's still there, who could emerge once he gets over the little case of the drops he had week one. I think it's a little soon, but it's worth the grab if he's out there.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. And of course, Kyle's in the chat.
It's a stash.
He definitely a stash. Yeah, and Kyle, give me the correct pronunciation of this guy's name, Rob Demowski or Demowski. So that's what we go with.
I thought he was like, yeah, I thought he was putting like a code in or something. I had no idea.
Yeah, he's like giving us a keyboard shortcut here or something. Like, you need to hit the D and the mouse key at the same time.
I think it's the key right here on the mouse. D-mouse key right there.
There you go.
Nailed it.
Yeah, I think I just echo your thoughts as well with Romeo Dobbs. Like, I went out and got him in a lot of my leagues that he was on waivers. So he does have that. He's in a good offense with Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback. I think he's better than some of the guys that were out there. Like, Josh Reynolds is a popular waiver ad this week. Matt Collins is a popular waiver ad. I think if Romeo Dobbs is going to be legit, at least he's going to have staying power. He's going to be that receiver no matter what. Whereas Matt Collins, Josh Reynolds, those guys can kind of fade away with once that offense gets healthy. But Romeo Dobbs has a chance to just be part of that offense. So I'm with you all 100%. Let's go look at the Patriots here. And Mac Jones is going to miss a couple games, at least with this ankle injury. There wasn't a ton of fantasy relevant players in this offense that were reliant on Mac Jones anyway. I think Kobe Myers is probably the one we liked. Devontae Parker kind of showed out a little bit last week. But Ryan, I'll go to you first on this one. Does this change any of your rankings as far as the running backs or receivers go with Mac Jones being out?
Dude, it's Ramondre Stevenson season, man. He had the rush attempts last week. He's been involved in the passing game. He's been that check down guy. That's probably going to lean into Hoyer's wheelhouse. I think he's the one affected most by it, and I'm pretty excited to see it because he is definitely a talented dude. Hopefully he can separate from Harris a little bit, but they both should get an uptick in volume with Mac being out. The receivers and anybody else. I wouldn't be surprised if a tight end emerged. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw maybe Hunter Henry a little bit more action than we've seen so far. I think that's the one I'd be kind of counting on.
Yeah. What about you, Evan? What are your thoughts on this Mac Jones news?
Yeah, it's just gross, man. Like, it really is. Like, you weren't really excited about Mac Jones anyways, unless you're in Superflex leagues, and even then you weren't excited. It was more of a floor play, so I'm definitely not trying to roll out Brian Hoyer unless I absolutely have to. If I'm, like, totally... I mean, there's probably a lot of wide receivers and running backs I'd rather throw in my Superflex than Brian Hoyer, to be honest with you. But, yeah, it's just one of those things, man. It sucks. But thankfully, because he's not really a mobile quarterback anyways, hopefully he'll be able to get back sooner rather than later. But, yeah, no, I mean, it's just one of those things. You know, thankfully it's not – I mean, there's already been enough injuries, so it's thankfully not one of our superstar quarterbacks. We've already got Justin Herbert beat up. We don't need any more superstars going down here.
Agreed. Yeah, and I think I agree there. I think Stevens is probably the biggest beneficiary there. I think he's the passing down running back too. He might catch some more check downs.
Which is wild. It's just absolutely wild to me because he's 240 pounds.
Yeah, exactly. It is a little weird. You don't think of that as him being the passing down back, but he definitely is. All right, let's go talk about an offensive line, something that we don't normally do on this show. But
I know why we're talking about the offensive lines because it's your team and you made the show sheet. But
yes, that has something to do with it. But this is a very important piece of this offense, especially for a running offense. Trent Williams, the tackle, goes out for at least 4 to 6 weeks. Of course, we know this is a run-first offense. Jimmy G's not the most mobile quarterback in the world. There are some good pieces on here. You know, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel. People were high on Ayuk. Obviously, the running game with Jeff Wilson Jr. Evan, how does this news with Trent Williams going down sort of affect your rankings and your overall look at those fancy pieces over there in that offense?
I mean, it's not great, Bob. You know, like it's really not. Like I've said the other week, I was like, I'm pretty much getting to the stage where I'm almost just done with like San Francisco from a fantasy perspective because you've got the shenanigans first of all, and then that's always a factor. You never know with him. Like he literally could just be like, oh, you know what, Jeff Wilson, he looked at me dirty on the way in, so no, he's not getting any run. We're giving it to this guy we found on the street. We're giving it to like whoever, Marlon Mack. We just pulled him off the street. He's playing 40 snaps. Give him. But you got that. You've got constant injuries. Like honestly, it's weird. Like they just can't stay healthy. Like I literally don't know of a running back for San Francisco that stayed healthy more than like 6 weeks since like 2012 or something. But it's just a nightmare. So there's very few pieces. I mean, Kittle, hopefully now he's back from injury. He should be pretty good. He's got that nice connection with Jimmy G. But like you said, Jimmy G is not a mobile quarterback. He's had his own injury history. Like I'm really getting skittish on any sort of San Francisco skill position players. I mean, Deebo's a stud. I'm sure he'll still be useful and helpful, but with getting less and less time behind that line as well, and the pass cutting, or the passing pie not being that big to slice in the first place, you got to even worry a little bit about Ayuk's potential breakout. I mean, obviously you don't want to panic on any of those guys, but I'm not like majorly going out of my way to try and like buy low on any of them at the minute.
Agree. Yeah. What about you, Ryan? What are your thoughts on this?
I refuse to talk about your offensive line and your players. I pass. I'm not giving in to your San Francisco 49ers terrorism. So no.
All right, fair enough. And then I will just echo what Evan said. Basically, is that this offense, if you drafted Deebo, you're probably stuck with him at this point. You're not going to sell him for cheap. You're just going to ride him out. Ayuk probably was a fringe starter for you to begin with. So at this point, if you got Ayuk, you're probably putting Romeo Dobbs, guys like that over him currently because of that offense. And they didn't look very good on Monday night either. So our Sunday night, whenever that game was, put up 10 points after scoring 7 points in the first quarter and couldn't score again the rest of the game. So pretty brutal looking offense, and I'd be afraid if I had any pieces of that offense. All right, let's go look at Deandre Swift's injury. Shoulder injury, could be held out through his week 6 bye. Obviously, Jamal Williams was a popular waiver ad if he was out there. If you're in deep leagues, he was probably already owned. But if you're a Swift owner, Ryan, if you're a DeAndre Swift owner, like, how are you replacing him if you don't have Jamal Williams?
I am a heavy Swift owner. I am just praying I drafted enough running back depth to have him, and if not, waiver wire. But Jamal Williams is your obviously best bet. We just talked about 49ers. Jeff Wilson, somebody who's probably getting grabbed in that. Or I'm taking a flyer and trying to trade for one of these running backs who struggled the first few weeks. And hopefully they kind of pop off and get back to it. Even if it's someone like Travis Etienne who struggled. But you know what? There's still those flashes, that big playability or something like that. Like, I'm trying to take a swing for the fences on somebody to fill in those. If not, I'm just trying to split my games the next 2 weeks while he comes back.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real. It's not a ton you're going to get on the waiver wire at this point in the season because there's not a lot of injuries yet. Maybe take somebody, maybe look for like a Chuba Hubbard or somebody in Carolina with Christian McCaffrey, who's been being rumored to be nicked up all off season. Like something like that.
An injury report. Yeah, he's already an injury report again for a thigh, so you never know when he's going to miss the game. So that's a good call.
Like it's just kind of finding something deep in there where you can get it, or maybe one of the like a Philly back or something stupid. But like, if not, I'm hoping I drafted that good enough to get over it because it's early and there's not a lot out.
Yeah. What about you, Evan? What are your thoughts on Swift? And do you own a lot of Swift in your leagues?
Oh man, I love Swift. It's just so sad because he's like one of those guys so talented, you know, and he was clearly on a breakout campaign this year, but he just can't stay healthy, you know. So I think it's one of those things. It sounds like they may hold him out through the bye week, which would suck for fantasy, but thankfully it's only like 2 weeks away. If you're in like those deeper leagues, like you said, you might actually want to look for Craig Reynolds as well. He was sort of a feel-good story through like Hard Knocks and stuff, but he actually had a little bit of run last year when Swift went down near the end of the year. He's familiar with the system. He has a little bit of juice, and they clearly like to use that 2-back system. Even when Swift is healthy, Jamal Williams would get the goal line carries and things like that. So I believe, if I'm not wrong, they're playing Seattle, which is like a terrible run defense this weekend anyway. So if you are in like a deeper league and you're stuck and Swift is rolled out and you can't find anybody else, it could be a good play just to grab Craig Reynolds and throw him out there because they're probably not going to just lean on Jamal Williams, especially if ARSB is beat up as well. Things like that, they're going to need to get the ground game going, so that might help get you through.
Yeah, that's a good name drop there because you're right. He had some run last year that actually made him pretty relevant in fantasy for a little while there when they had so many injuries. So that's a good call. All right, 2 more quick notes here. Christian Kirk, another big week. Ryan, is he legit? Are we buying him now? A receiver 1 basically right now is what he is.
Yes. Like, I don't know why we have to worry about that one. Now he's producing. He's the top target for Trevor Lawrence. He has a contract to back it up. Everything, volume, contract, quarterback loves him. I believe all of it. Like, if a young quarterback likes a guy, it's going to stay that way. Like, Christian Kirk's, he might be a long-term buy in Dynasty, and he's definitely buy now. Redraft if you can get him. Kirk's real deal.
Yep, agreed. Evan, I'm gonna give this last one to you because I already knew what Ryan's thoughts would be on this last note here. Cam Akers finally involved in the offense 12 times. He rushed 12 times for 61 yards. Did have that fumble at the goal line, which might hurt him a little bit, but he had the clear edge over Darrell Henderson. So what are your thoughts here on Akers going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I was really freaked out by that first week. Obviously, I think we all were, like, just the usage and how he looked when he was on the field and stuff like that. But as he's, like, getting more and more involved, getting healthier, things like that, he's looking a lot better, man. He looked a lot more like himself, I thought, in this last game. So I would be definitely, especially if you're worrying about running back depth or if you're struggling, could be a potential buy low target because I think they've shown that they want him to be the guy if he can stay healthy. I don't think they really trust Darrell Henderson. His snaps and his share and things like that's been going down. And he hadn't. It's not like he looked electric anyways when he was getting it. He looked fine. He looked serviceable. But I think they want Cam Akers to be the guy. And I think when they have a guy, they pretty heavily rely on him. So if he keeps getting healthier and he stays healthy and he stays on the field, as long as he doesn't continuously goal line fumble, I think he could be like a dude, in the second half of the season. So it could be somebody that you look at like a sneaky buy low right now.
I like it.
Oh, yeah, it's like I said it the first 2 weeks, not to worry about it. He just had to get his sea legs under him. Weird.
Yeah, Ryan's been saying that all.
Huh?
They're in the sea now.
I said the sea legs.
Playing at sea now? Oh, geez.
All right.
I'd watch that.
Tonight we're gonna be looking at some struggling players. We're gonna do some panic button guys, and then we're gonna do some stash or trash after the midway break. So first off, we'll do the panic button. Give me a couple guys here that we have that we're panicking on that you're pretty much selling if you can get anything from at this point. Ryan, we'll go to you first. Give me one of your panic button guys.
I'm starting with the guy who was your FU. It's Devancy Adams. Like, something I've said a lot this offseason. He was so volume dependent in Green Bay. Like, he never hit 1,000 yards unless he had 140 targets. It's weird. His 3 games this year, when he's had 7-10 targets, his numbers were 12 yards and 36 yards. His one game where he was heavily targeted, week 117, is when he went off for 141. It's not consistent targets. He's coming on to that low end he's coming real close to that 30 number. I'm scared for him, man. Like, I don't think he's going to see that 150 targets he saw with Aaron Rodgers with Devancy Adams. There's enough weapons there. I'm worried about it. I don't know if he's going to be like fantasy relevant, but the days of him being a wide receiver 1, I think, are donezo.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Do you think, so week 1, they had that huge blow up game. Do you think the defenses did anything differently in the next 2 weeks, or is it just the fact of the offense and the way it's run?
I think it's a little bit of everything. I think a lot of it was his first week there, and Derek Carr and him kind of just wanted to do it, and the game script allowed for it because no one expected the Chargers to play that way. But I think and their Chargers are also very good up the middle with their safety game, so that really hurts Darren Waller, and who was, I think Nick Dumper didn't play that week. But once the whole team's there, it's just hard. I don't know how he's getting 12, 15 targets in the game. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Agreed. Evan, what do you got for your panic button guy?
Oh, man. Whew. We got a whole extra show here. We can go through these guys. One of the guys that really is quite sad is Allen Robinson, actually. So I was really kind of excited for a bounce back year. I was excited about the whole, best quarterback he's ever played with, narrative, all that kind of jazz. It's just not looking good, man. He's got 12 targets in 3 games. He's wide receiver 69, which is nice. I get it, but it's not exactly what you wanted. I was hoping for top 24 numbers. He's literally only run 9 more routes than Tyler Higbee. Higbee has better receiving and offensive grades via PFF than Allen Robinson. It's really not good. It's not good. You're not feeling confident at all, locking him in your lineup every week.
Yeah, that's definitely a good one. That he's killing my lineups as well. So my panic button guy. So I've been doing a lot of victory laps lately because I've had Tua. I was talking to him all off season. I victory lapped Tua. I victory lapped Amon-Ra St. Brown. I victory lapped a bunch of guys. But there's one guy I talked about all off season that I can't take victory laps on, and that's tight end Cole Kmet. I thought he had 94 targets last year or whatever it was. I thought for sure Justin Fields takes a step forward. He goes over that 100 target mark. The offense is better. He gets more touchdowns. He had no touchdowns at all last year. I thought for sure he'd get touchdowns this year. And that offense has gotten worse. Justin Fields is barely even throwing the ball. I know he had 11 pass attempts in that Packers game, which is just anemic. Obviously, Darnell Mooney is also there. He's getting killed as well. But I was all over Cole Kmet. I was buying him everywhere. I've got him in a bunch of best ball leagues thinking that this was going to be his year to break out. And boy, was I wrong, because so far through 3 games, Cole Kmet is non-existent right now. So definitely hit panic button on Cole Kmet. Let's go around one more button guy from each of you. Ryan, we'll go to you first.
I changed mine because it was in the chat, and kind of like reminded me of it because I'm trying to block it out of my mind. What Gator said about any Chicago player, and it's Justin Fields, man. I'm legitimately worried about him, and I don't think it's all because of him. But we got 2 games where he's completed under 50% passes. His most passing yards in the season so far is 121 in 3 games. He has more interceptions than he has double the interceptions to touchdowns. This offense looks like it has no idea what it's doing. And we want a new coordinator, we want a new coach, obviously seeing that, but that'll be 3 in 3 years. Like, that's not good for a quarterback. We've seen these changes and struggling offenses, no support, just ruin guys. And I'm really afraid that he's in line for that to happen to him next. And I'm panicked. Like, I love Justin Fields' talent, but the support he's gotten is so much. I think it's going to ruin him.
Yeah, it's been ugly.
If you're not going to have weapons, have a system that works for him. Like Baltimore, when they had Lamar and he first started, he didn't have weapons, but he had a system that maximized his skill set. Chicago's just like throw some shit out there and hope it works and just play ball. It's bad. Like he's gotten worse since college. Like he was 70% completions almost. He completed 70% passes in college. Like you expected that to carry over, and it's terrible now. He's taking sacks. There's nothing good. I mean, he had 10 sacks in 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Nothing's good for him, and it's gonna kill him.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal that Packers game that I talked about where he only had 11 pass attempts. I actually fell asleep during that game, and I woke up in the morning the next day and I looked at the box score and it showed Justin Fields with 11 pass attempts, and I was hitting refresh on my app. I thought it was like not correct. I thought maybe it hadn't updated yet. I'm like, he only threw the ball 11 times. Like, how is that even possible?
And you know what's crazy about that? That game he had 11 pass attempts. He only had 1 less completion than his 2 other games.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's insane.
Like he 8 is his highest completions of the year.
Wow.
I feel like Adam Thielen's had that before, doing passes out of the backfield. Like, it's terrible.
Definitely. All right, Evan, give me one more of your panic button guys.
Oh man, there's so many to choose from here. I've gone for a quarterback actually as well, which is Russell Wilson. I think that we all, well, not all. I'm sure there's some people out there who were smart enough to see this coming a mile away, but I think we were all pretty excited over the summer. At the potential, moving over to this high-powered offense. We all talked and joked about how like all they were missing was a quarterback, and I feel like that's still the situation. It's like they're just missing a quarterback. I don't understand what's going on. He's literally quarterback 25 right now, and like he's just not playable in redraft. Like if you're in redraft, obviously in dynasty, that's what I mainly focus on. You're not dropping him, you're not doing anything stupid, but in redraft, you just can't start him. He's literally, if you look at some of these stats, he's 25th in like PFF rating, 23rd in passing, 25th in run, which he always was a pretty good runner, pretty good scrambler before. That was part of his game. He's 23rd in big time throws. He's literally 16th in ADOT, 28th in completion percentage. It's absolutely horrific. And even just stuff like last year he was beat up and he wasn't great for the Seahawks, but he was still top 5, top 10 in big time throws, top 5, top 10 in ADOT. He had some nice underlying stats that got you excited, got you believing. But man, there is nothing looking good about this. And it's not just him. The play calling is atrocious. The mistakes are just stupid. It looks like an absolute clown show out there at the minute in Denver. No offense, Denver fans, but like, man, honestly, in redraft, I don't know how you can start him at the minute. I don't know how you can be feeling positive about him. Like, I mean, you're probably going to hold on to him, I guess, but I would be streaming people for now, just seeing what happens because it is not looking pretty.
Definitely agree 100% with that one. So y'all took the ones that I had left. I had a couple left, and y'all both took them. So
likely story.
I was trying to panic search my lines real quick to find somebody else, but I couldn't do it before you finished up. So I'm just gonna have to skip my last panic button guy. No house advantage, guys, is changing the game. Play pick'em style contest for a shot at winning $150K. Get the No House Advantage app. Use our promo code GF2 and use that to get a deposit match up to $25. Bet up to 5 player props, over unders with individual player matchups for all major sports, including MMA, NASCAR, and PGA. Again, our promo code is GF2. Use it at nohouseadvantage.com or get the app for iOS or Android and get your deposit match. No house advantage because it's not how you play, but where you play. All right, let's get to
Stash or trash.
stash or trash. These are some guys that are probably at the bottom of your roster. Some of them are actually pretty good players. I want to throw a few top names in there to see what y'all think of these guys. So obviously this is redraft. And then I wanted to put the caveat in there that there are players on the waiver wire that are worth picking up if you were to drop one of these guys. So, Ryan, you got the first one on the list here. Popular ad in the offseason, Mr. James Cook for the Buffalo Bills. Is he stash or trash at this point?
I'm stashing James Cook, and I'm kind of excited about it. Like, there's some legit flashes. Week 2, he had 11 carries, landing close to averaging 5 a carry. Last week, he didn't get the carries, but he had 5 targets in the passing game. Like, he's slowly carving out a role because he's a good pass catcher. He's electric with the ball in his hands. Yes, it's going to be a committee, but he's going to be, the more we see him, the more we'll see him put up viable fantasy points. And if there's injuries, it could be very good for him. But, like, there's definitely a lot to like. So there's a ton of upside. It might be more in Dynasty than redraft, but it could be a late season, like, where he shows out a little bit.
Yeah, and we talked about a lot in the offseason about how Josh Allen didn't put the running backs very much, but we just saw last week, what did Singletary have? 13 targets?
He had five. Who, Allen, the running backs?
Put a running back, Singletary. Didn't he have like 12, 11 targets last week?
He had 11 targets last week, yeah.
Right, and then Cook had 5.
Yeah, and Cook had 5. So, I mean, the volume is definitely there. If they just get Cook more involved and he gets more of those targets than Singletary does, I agree 100%. He's definitely a stash for me as well. All right, Evan, we're going to stick with the running backs here, and this is a backfield that, we were kind of avoiding, with the Eagles' backfield and the way it was kind of shaken out. But Gainwell was kind of the cheaper guy there. You can get him for pretty cheap, and people are thinking that he might be the pass-down role. It hasn't really happened as of yet. So Kenneth Gainwell, stash or trash for you?
I mean, honestly, if there is guys on the waiver wire that you're really interested by or you need, I would probably trash him because I think that yeah, it's not looking pretty. I mean, they're really efficient. They're throwing the ball more. They're looking awesome through the air. Miles Sanders seems to be the dude. Yes, he gets beat up. So I guess that the thought process would be like, oh, if Miles Sanders loses time, then you've got this like step-in guy. But the truth is, like when we look back historically, even last year, like when Miles Sanders did go down, they didn't just give all the work to Kenny G. They literally brought in Boston Scott and gave him all the work. So I don't necessarily think that even if Miles Sanders goes down, Kenny G all of a sudden just becomes the workhorse or anything like that. He's not getting the targets, like you said, something that we would want to see. So, yeah, if it's a normal sort of redraft league and you've only got like 5 or 6 bench spots, those bench spots are really precious. So I'm probably not stashing him because, what are the odds you're really going to be that happy even if Miles Sanders does miss time? And we can't really predict that anyways.
Yeah, good point. Good point. So let me ask you real quick, because you mentioned this guy earlier. The running back for Detroit, I can't think of his name. Craig Reynolds?
Craig Reynolds, yeah.
Or Kenneth Gainwell. Which one do you want right now?
Right now, I want Craig Reynolds because I think that he's going to get some run. I think that, they want to run the ball. I think especially this weekend, like I said, playing Seattle, if Swift misses time, I'd feel much more confident and much happier throwing Craig Reynolds in my lineup if I had to, if my gun to my head, than I would with Kenny G, because he's just not getting. Even last week, that's my point. They were absolutely manhandling the Commanders. You would think they're just going to run the ball, just run the clock down, maybe even get some of those second stringers in, get them some run. He still didn't have a lot of run. He still didn't have a lot of targets. He still didn't have a big game. So if not then win.
It's a good call. All right, let's switch to the wide receivers here. And we got some good names that were very popular picks here in the offseason, high drafted guys here. First one we kind of talked about a little bit already, Ryan, but I want your thoughts on Mr. Allen Robinson. Is he stash or trash in these redraft leagues right now?
That's such a hard question because, you can't drop Allen Robinson, but I don't want him on my team. I'm going to try to trade him or use him as part of a trade. It's impossible to you can't just drop him. Yeah. Because the talent, I think, still there, even though we haven't seen him do shit since 2020. But, it's hard to say, oh, he's on a... he's losing targets to Ben Skorzowski. But, that's the issue with him. That offense is sputtering, and I don't think they found him. So it might be patience, but you can't just drop him because there is talent.
I agree. You can't just.
And there's roundabout ways. Just try to trade him. Try to you have to have somebody who still believes in Allen Robinson in your league. But the bad part is if you draft him, it's probably you.
Yeah, exactly. Point. We do have a question in the chat here. Garrison wants to know: would you trade Allen Robinson for Miles Sanders in a PPR league? I'll let you answer this one, Evan.
Yeah, a heartbeat. Sorry.
So, Allen Robinson or Miles Sanders, Evan? Who are you taking there?
I'll take Miles Sanders. He seems like he's locked in as the dude right now for them. So even though he's not getting those touchdowns that we want, he's not getting loads of targets, he's still in a really high-powered offense, and he is actually getting the work, which Allen Robinson is not.
Yep, good call. All right, Evan, let's go to you with the receiver, and we're going to go with Robinson's former teammate, and we talked about a little bit about this Bears offense already as well, but Darnell Mooney, stash or trash right now?
Oh man, I feel like this is a personal attack because I love Darnell Mooney. Like I've been a big fan of him ever since he came out. I remember when he came out his rookie year, we were like, loads of people were kind of Darnell Mooney or KJ Hamler, and I was all on the Darnell Mooney side. And I kind of wrote an article about it back then, kind of foreshadowing how he could take over as the wide receiver one for Chicago, and it actually all happened. I'm feeling great about it. And then this year happens, and it's absolutely devastating. He's completely unstartable. He's wide receiver 114 at the minute in PPR leagues. So I'm pretty sure, Jeff, I'm pretty sure you have more PPR points at the minute than Darnell Mooney does through 3 weeks. And I'm not starting you, no offense. So I just think at this point in time, I mean, you've probably already dropped him. I probably would drop him, especially for some of these guys we've talked about. I'd much rather take a shot at Romeo Dobbs right now than Darnell Mooney. You've already mentioned it with the way that the Bears offense is being run. It's horrific. It is mind-bogglingly bad. I'd rather watch paint dry. It's just not good. I don't see a lot of, he had a juicy on paper. He had a plus matchup this last weekend. Still absolutely nothing. I just can't do it. I literally would. There's so many things. I'd rather watch the grass grow than start Darnell Mooney or watch this Bears offense right now.
It's funny. I listened to a podcast and I haven't went into this yet, but they're talking about Darnell Mooney and this whole Bears offense, and how if you look at just percentages of the target share, these guys are getting decent target share, but when you're only throwing the ball 11, 12 times a game, it doesnlike matter what the percentage is. There's just not enough targets to go around.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, my friend, my buddy, he said something like that on Twitter. He said he's like, I predicted him to have a 25% target share, and he does have a 25% target share, but it's only 8 targets or something like that. It's like.
All right, let's switch to tight end, but we're going to stick with that Bears offense and a guy that I had as my panic button guy, Brian Cole Kmet. So tight ends are kind of interesting in the fact that they don't have to do a whole lot to be top 12 tight ends. Are you confident enough to stash Cole Kmet and hope that he breaks out, or are you looking for somebody else?
So they don't have to do a lot, but that thing they have to do is score touchdowns, and the Bears can't do that. So I'm cutting him loose, dude. It's bad. Especially he's not getting targets now when he had that before. I'd rather have Brevin Jordan. I'd rather have, Noah Fant. I'd rather take a chance at Johnny Smith. He's so bad, man.
Gross.
It's so gross. He is just...
I think I'd rather just leave my tight end slot empty at the weekend.
I would rather...
He might lose me points somehow.
I would rather start Taysom Hill, who is my most hated person in the NFL. Than Cole Kmet right now.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. I like how you said Jonas Smith because he's a tight end 2 on his own team, and you're going to start him over the tight end 1 for the Bears.
Dude, it's so bad.
Brutal.
I'll take Johnny Munt.
Minnesota. Yeah, he's had some decent targets. You're right. All right, Evan, sticking with tight ends here. Mike Gesicki, who another one that was kind of popular with this, Tyreek Hill being there, opened the offense up, this and that. And he had one decent game, but really hasn't done a whole lot here. Are you doing stash or trash on Mike Gesicki?
Mike Gesicki, am I right?
Yeah.
No, I'm probably trashing him. I'd rather just stream at this point because, if you think about it, I was already a little bit skeptical anyways with them, moving to bringing in Tyreek Hill, having, there's only so many, there's only so many people that Tua can throw it to. I'm not excited about Gesicki moving forward. He's only run 54 routes so far versus, for example, Waller's run 102. So he's literally, and if you look at just even the way that they're splitting up, the way they're running that offense, Miami is currently through 3 games. Miami is 30th in percentage of pass attempts to the tight end. So there's only 2 teams worse. I don't know who they are, but it's not looking good.
Probably the Bears. Bears are
probably the Bears. The Bears. I'd be willing to put money on that. I mean, to be fair, I would rather have Gesicki than Kmet at this point. But yeah, no, I'm not seeing brighter days for him unless, like I said, there's injuries or something like that, which we can't really, we can't predict that. So I think you'd be better off just sort of streaming your way through and seeing what happens.
Yep, I agree 100%. Let's look at quarterbacks. Now, I'm going to skip off that last one there because we kind of bashed the Bears offense enough. So Justin Fields, we're not going to touch him. But I just want to get both of your opinions on the other quarterback I have listed there. Stash or trash Tom Brady, Ryan?
Stash. I mean, dude, he's been playing with, like, the Chicago Bears wide receivers the last couple weeks. Like, his receivers been so bad.
It wasn't very good week 1 either.
Yeah, but he was on his Dancing with the Stars, getting his face sucked out, surgery, and whatever the hell Tom Brady was doing. Mike Evans is coming back this week, they say, and we're going to get Godwin back real soon. They said he was practicing. It's going to be fine for him. It might be a little bit later, but he's going to be fine. I have no worry about Brady. There's too many weapons on that offense for me bad. And even if the line struggles, they'll find a way to work around it.
Yeah. So, Evan, I'm going to give you a different question here because I have a feeling you probably feel very similar to Ryan because it's Tom Brady. You want to give him the chance. But I had this predicament in one of my leagues. That's why I put Tom Brady on this. If Trevor Lawrence is sitting on your waiver wire, are you dropping Tom Brady to pick up Trevor Lawrence at this point? I think he's like QB7 right now. I believe.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I think so, yeah, man. I mean, I honestly, like, Trevor Lawrence has really impressed me this year. Like, last year I think we can't overstate how big of an absolute train wreck it was with Urban Meyer and how much of a difference good coaching makes to young quarterbacks. And, that's why we've been talking about Justin Fields. But we talk about this all the time. Davis Mills looked good last year because of, some solid coaching, having some solid help around him. But, man, Trevor Lawrence looks like a different dude. He looked amazing. Like, watched that whole Chargers game closely, and he looked awesome. So, yeah, I mean, for now, I mean, he's got good weapons. He's got all this stuff. And the thing is, the reason we're willing to give a buy ball to Tom Brady is because it's Tom freaking Brady, right? But, we also have to look at the reality of, like, yeah, I'm willing to stash Tom Brady, but if Trevor Lawrence is sitting on my waiver wire, I'd much rather have Trevor Lawrence. The offense is humming. They look good. He's got weapons. The run game is just absolutely nailing it. They're top 5 offense in DVOA at the moment, and that's through 3 games. So, yes, it's a small sample size, but at the same time, they've been playing guys like the Chargers and stuff like that. It's not like they've been just walking over teams that are, it's not like they played the Bears 3 times. Let's put it that way.
Right.
So I like Trevor Lawrence, man. He's got a little bit of like he's got a little bit of that like cheat code, Konami code to him. He can move when he has to, so you could always maybe get some rushing touchdowns. He's really like picked up a good connection with Zay Jones as well as Christian Kirk. Travis Etienne's coming on a little bit. James Robinson looks awesome. I mean, what's not to love? Dougie P revenge game this weekend. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Ryan, what are your thoughts on that predicament there? Tom Brady, Trevor Lawrence, 1 QB league.
Redraft Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. I'd probably leave Trevor Lawrence. I can't believe he's available, which is insane.
Very shallow league.
But I like playing 4-man leagues.
Yeah, like I like Trevor Lawrence in that. I think that offense is clicking. He undeservingly won Offensive Player of the Week in the AFC this week, which is insane to me too. But he looks really good, and that offense has a ton of weapons. And there's a chance they're gonna throw a lot because they're not that great on defense. They're gonna be playing from behind. He's gonna throw the ball a lot this year, and winning early matters. So yeah. I might try to drop somebody other than Brady for him if I have somebody bad on my team. I'm against that. I'm against rostering 2 quarterbacks, but in this case, I might.
Yeah, and you said that they're not bad on. You said they're bad on defense, but they're actually, if you look at the stats right now, they're actually really good on defense. I know it may not hold up. It's 3 games, but I mean they're like one of the top defenses right now, at least according to the stats.
Yep,
that's fair.
All right, let's get into our prop bets of the week.
Going for 2 live and playpickup.com. Flops of the week.
All right, I had a hard time finding some really good ones this week, so I apologize that these are kind of lopsided here, but we'll go with that one kind of tough. So more receiving yards in the Dolphins-Bengals game tomorrow. Of course, you got the Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins, or other. Who are you going with here, Evan? Who's getting more receiving yards in that game tomorrow?
Oh man, I'm gonna have to go with the Cheetah here. They've already been trash talking Eli Apple. Like, it's gonna be beautiful, man. Like, Waddle's a little bit beat up, which I think he'll hopefully still play and everything like that. And and Tyreek had a little bit of a quiet game last week, but man, I just can imagine this being an absolute bloodbath. So I'm gonna go with Tyreek Hill here. I just think he's gonna absolutely destroy Eli Apple.
Yeah, I've seen that stuff on Twitter a little bit of trash talk.
I'm excited for it. Yeah, I'm here for it, man. Like, we need some more of that trash talk. We need some more WWE style trash talk in the NFL.
Agreed. What about you, Ryan? Who are you going with here?
Oh man, I want to say him because it is Eli Apple. The fact Eli Apple is the corner CB1 on that makes me say, oh man, it's gonna be Jalen Waddle going off. Like, I'm going Waddle on this one. I think Chase is going to pull Xavier Howard, which kind of hurts him, even though he's kind of got roasted a little bit. Miami's defense played really well, so I'm going to go with Waddle on this.
All right. I think I'm going to go with I was going to go Waddle or Tyreek Hill. I was between those two guys, but now I'm worried about Tua and whether or not he plays or not, because that changes things quite a bit if Tua is out. Assuming
Tua is out, I'm going Higgins.
Yeah, I'm saying if Tua's out, I will go Higgins as well. But if Tua is in, I'm sticking with Tyreek Hill. He didn't have a very good game last week. I think he wants that sort of comeback game. He's probably been in Tua's ear all week. So I do think that if Tua plays, I think Tyreek Hill is my choice. The Discord channel disagrees with all of us. They went all 54% in on Jamar Chase. Obviously, he's got some pretty big name value there, too. I think everyone's probably got him on their fantasy team, so they're probably leaning a little towards that, hoping
biased.
That he
biased.
Little biased. But yeah, Discord went 54% on Jamar Chase, 25% on T. Higgins, so they're all over that Bengals side there. Only 10% Tyreek Hill, 8% on Waddle, and then 2% other. I don't know who else they would possibly have go other, unless they're thinking Tyler Boyd goes out and has a big game or something.
Miami's legit right now.
They are.
Like, they've just beat two good teams back-to-back weeks. They really slowed down Buffalo. Like, Buffalo only scored 17 on them. And Buffalo's a much better offense right now.
Yep, agreed.
The way they're clicking in Cincinnati, because they can actually block. But, like, man, I'm worried for Joe Burrow's health.
Yeah, I think
it makes me
all
happy.
All right, next one here. This is a matchup thing here for we got Trevor Lawrence versus Jalen Hertz playing, of course, in the same game. More passing yards for week 4, Hertz or Trevor Lawrence? I'll go to you first, Ryan.
I'm going to say Hertz because I know how you did say Jacksonville's defense has played really well, but so has the Eagles, especially at corner. Like, between Slay and Radford, they're balling out, man. So I'm going to lean him, and that team's just clicking right now. If it was total yards, it'd be easier, but I'm going to lean just a slightly bit Hertz.
Yeah. What about you, Evan? Hertz or Trevor Lawrence here, passing yards?
Man, it's tough because Hertz has had more passing yards already every game for the 3 games, so you sort of want to go Hertz here. But I was actually talking on my show yesterday with Joe Pepe, and he is in Philadelphia. He was saying there's like a 50% chance of rain, so he was saying like there's a good chance that they may go back, revert to the run game, and just try and like really pound the rock and see if they can get up on them that way. I feel like if the rain and all that is happening, I'd be leaning Trevor Lawrence, I think, because I think they will need to score points to try and keep up with Philadelphia. That offense is looking amazing. So I think it's going to be tough, though. I think I could see it going either way, but I think that Dougie P is going to want that revenge win, so he's going to be pushing Trevor Lawrence to make some magic.
I like it. And you're right. It's going to rain because I'm here on the East Coast, and I'm close enough to Philly. They're probably getting the same weather that we are. We're getting that hurricane weather. That's going to sort of hit us after the hurricane's dissipated. We'll get, I think, 5 days straight of rain up here in this area. So it will be an ugly field for sure. So the Discord went with Jalen Hertz. They went 70% on Jalen Hurts. Again, I think some recency bias there because he's been lighting it up. He's the all the talk right now. But I'm with you, Evan. I think I'm going to go Trevor Lawrence on this one. I think Lawrence, I think he's been kind of under the radar right now. Is how good as he's actually been. So I do think Trevor Lawrence is the one that's going to get more passing yards this week. All right, one last one here. Another matchup. Derrick Henry versus Jonathan Taylor. Taylor, of course, had that huge week 1 and then hasn't done much since. And then vice versa for Derrick Henry. He had 2 bad weeks and then had a pretty good week last week. So more rushing yards, Ryan. Jonathan Taylor or Derrick Henry this week?
I'm going JT. That offense is a little bit better. Teams are just loading the box against Derrick Henry. Like, nobody's afraid of those wide receivers. Bobby Trees is getting a little bit worse for wear. Burks isn't clicking yet. Phillips is hurt. Like, you just cover him. At least Indy has Pittman to protect Taylor a little bit. So I'm going to leave Taylor just because he has some help, like, opposed to 0.
Yeah, and Derrick Henry, usually this is rushing yards, and Derrick Henry, for some reason, turned into a pass-catching back last week for some reason. That doesn't usually happen. So,
Yes.
It's because they can't run the ball. Peter's just loading the box.
Yep. What about you, Evan? You going Jonathan Taylor here or Derrick Henry, more rushing yards?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to lean Jonathan Taylor here, actually. Yeah, because I think it is a small sample size, but Indy has a fairly stout, run defense, and Tennessee has a pretty crappy run defense. I believe they're pretty much polar opposite at this point in time. From top of my head, I believe Indy has like a top 3, top 5 run defense at the moment, and then you flip the script. I believe I'm pretty sure off the top of my head, Tennessee's like a bottom 3, bottom 5, allowing the most yards. Like rush yards and stuff like that. So again, who they played and things like that will play into it this early in the season. But I do think, they're going to they need to get back on track. That was a big win against the Chiefs last week. They need to get some mojo going. I think they're going to try to reestablish the run, get that going. And it's a divisional game, isn't it? So like, it's going to be awesome. I'm hoping that they both run for like 600 yards. It's going to be great.
That would be awesome.
Especially because I have Derrick Henry in the Scott Fish Bowl. Let him run for like 750 yards. That'd be great.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm going JT as well for the same reasons y'all talked about. Just the defenses that they're facing is a little bit different. And the Discord agrees at a 65% clip. They're all going Jonathan Taylor as well. All right, so that was the Play Pick 'em Prop Bets of the week. You could find that in all of our Going for 2 articles. There's widgets in all of our articles. Also find it on the Discord. I put a daily prop bet up every week for the week that we're in. So definitely check out the Discord. If you haven't yet, go to goingfor2.com. If you look at the very bottom right corner, there'll be a little Discord logo. Click on that and you can join our Discord. It's all free. There's no pay, premium part of it. Everything is free. We got trade offers. We got DFS stuff. We got just random talk. We got everything there. So go check out the Discord. All right, let's get to our listener questions.
Go ahead. Ask me anything.
All right. So in the respective time here, we'll just go back and forth between the two of y'all. So the first one, I'll go to you here, Evan. Javonte, or I guess it's a trade offer. Javonte on one side, or DJ Moore and Mclaren on the other side. Which side do you want there?
This makes me very sad, but no, I would take Javonte. I love Javonte. He's been disappointing because obviously he's locked in that timeshare with Melvin Gordon. The whole offense we've already touched on looks pretty gross, but we've already talked about DJ Moore, how atrocious that situation is. I don't trust Matt Rule to figure that out, really. He's shown himself to be pretty incompetent as a head coach. So Terry McLaurin, I mean, he's a great guy, but he's already getting he's getting out-targeted by Curtis Samuel. He's getting out-balled by Jahan Dotson. I mean, it's not looking good. So, yeah, give me the 2-for-1. Hopefully clear up some space on my roster. I can look at, take a couple flyers on these Romeo Dobbs or, Mac Hollins or whatever kind of guys. You got to play the hot hand, especially if you're behind in redraft, man. You just got to start going for the fences a little bit here if you're 1 and 2 or something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that, before the season, DJ Moore and McLaurin would have been the easiest landslide, side of things, because we thought that they were going to be, top receivers. And now with 3 weeks into the season, we're leaning towards Javonte. So I think I agree with you as well. I think it's Javonte for me. DJ Moore struggled. McLaurin has been okay, but he hasn't been what we thought he was going to be with this offense. Yeah. So I agree. All right, Ryan, I didn't mean to do this one to you, but it is your team. I didn't realize it now. So trade Mark Andrews and Rashad Bateman and get Debo and Darren Waller in a half-point PPR league.
Dude, like, because I feel like you just said it to be a homer on purpose because you're a devil. Close. I always player gives me the most advantage, and that's Mark Andrews, dude. Like tight end 1 or 2, leaning towards tight end 1 right now. Absolutely on fire. About anything else in that trade? Waller's hit or miss right now. Debo's struggling offensive. Like we talked about earlier, Jimmy G is there. They lost Trent. There's question marks. Who's going to get the ball? Ayuk's up a little bit. And you go anywhere from 1 to 3 in targets on that at any given time. It goes for Waller. Mark Andrews is getting fed no matter what. Like he's locked in for 7 to 10 targets every week. Like he gives you a huge advantage. I can make that for that on a team. Like, and Bateman is startable in most cases, but dude, Andrew's the best player in that trade, and I'm making it because of him.
Yeah, I think unfortunately we got some connection issues. Your connection went red, but we got the most of that. You're leaning towards the Andrew side of things because he's the best player, getting the most targets. You mentioned Debo and Waller could go with games with getting very few targets. So I agree. I think especially in a half-point PPR league, I think Bateman and Andrews is the way to go.
He'd be wide receiver 6.
Wow, that's impressive right there. Good stuff. All right, let's go to Ryan. If you want to try to fix your internet while we go to a couple of more of these, want to go to Unlucky. His name is Unlucky on Discord, and he wants to know Joe Mixon or Derrick Henry rest of season, Evan.
Oh man, that is rough. I mean, Joe Mixon's already beat up a little bit, isn't he? Like he already had like was it an ankle injury or something like that last week? The Bengals offense isn't looking as hot as it was. It's tough, man. Like I mean, if Derrick Henry's going to be getting these targets every week, then give me Derrick Henry because that was awesome to see. You love to see that. So it's really tough call, but I'd probably lean Derrick Henry if he's going to be getting those targets.
Yeah, that would be awesome, right? I mean, Derrick Henry, the biggest knock on him every year is that he doesn't get those targets, and people had a hard time putting him in their top 5 because of that. Then he'd always end up top 5 anyway because he was just so good. But if he gets targets too, I mean, that's just going to be awesome. And I do agree. I think it's Henry for me as well. I love Mixon coming into the season, but that offense does not look good. The offensive line does not look good. Mixon is getting a lot of volume. Unfortunately, he's not doing a whole lot with it because that offense has just been that bad. Ryan is back just in time. So Mac Bain on Discord. It's a full PPR league. He wants to know who to start, Curtis Samuel or Devonta Smith, which on face value, you think Devonta Smith hands down, but Curtis Samuel's been really good in that offense. He's been getting targeted like crazy.
Yeah, and he's playing Dallas, which is awesome for him. I'm gonna lean towards. Oh, I hate it so much. Like 11, 9, 10 targets. He's averaging targets a game, and never did I think. We are.
Well, yeah, I think your internet's still messing up, Ryan. Curtis Samuel, I think I don't know what's going on with his internet. The last couple of weeks has been bad. It used to be me that had the internet connections. So Curtis Samuel, 10 targets a game. You know, he looks to be like the receiver 1 in that offense, which is kind of crazy to think about. Devonta Smith is still a receiver 2 to A.J. Brown. So, you know, could he be taken out of the game? I don't know, but I'd have a hard time putting Samuel over Devonta Smith just from name value. But for right now, I think it's probably is Curtis Samuel for me, just because of the PPR side of things. He's getting a ton of targets. He's getting, you know, even carries out of the backfield as well. So Samuel for me. All right, Jason H. Let's say Dalvin sits half-point PPR. Who are you wanting to start here? His backup, Alexander Madison, or James Conner, who's been struggling so far this year. Evan, who are you going with here?
I'm going to go Madison here. Like I think James Conner has been really, really bad. The whole offense for the Cardinals looks really bad. I think I believe James Conner's averaging like 3 yards per carry, something like that. Yes, he will get the goal line work if they get into the red zone, which is nice. But I think with Madison, at least, the Vikings do have that history of when Dalvin Cook does miss time, they do tend to give that bulk of that workload to Madison, which is nice. So, if Dalvin Cook sits out, it's a London game this week. I'm going to be at the game, no big deal, humble brag. But it's going to be awesome. And if he sits out, man, I would expect Madison to get 15, 20 touches, and they can definitely they should be able to run on the Saints. So, I think that it's definitely Madison for me.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, obviously, again, thinking about before the season started, if you thought Dalvin was going to be out, it'd be James Conner with the way he played last year. But Madison comes in, he's getting that full workload. When Dalvin's in there, Madison kind of spells him every once in a while, but for the most part, Dalvin gets the workload. So when Madison gets in there, it's going to be the same thing, full workload for Madison. James Conner has Benjamin who's been getting some snaps there. So I agree. I think Madison will be my choice as well. Let's see. We got Ryan back in here. Let's see.
Oh, there he is.
So I think we're good. You got all green bars on your little thing over there. So I think we're good now, Ryan.
Yeah. I'm green on my end, but that's fine.
All right. The next one we got two more. Luis Gonzalez, 1947, wants to know trade Mike Williams and Kareem Hunt for CeeDee Lamb and Breece Hall, full PPR. So Mike Williams, Hunt on one side, CeeDee Lamb, Breece Hall on the other side, full PPR. Ryan, who you got?
I'm banking full upside on this because I know we've seen flashes from Breece Hall. We've seen CeeDee and a huge drop, but he's still getting the targets. And Dak will eventually be back. And Breece one roll. Mike Williams is still the wide receiver. Allen's back, and his numbers are still kind of these two guys who have the ability to be the top guys in their team.
All right, yeah, Ryan, your internet's still not good. we got the gist of it though. Once again, I think I jinxed Ryan because before the show we talked about a show we did a few weeks ago where our guest had really, really bad internet connection, and we basically had to guess what he was saying all night. And we were talking about that pre-show, and now Ryan's become that person where we have to basically guess what he's saying. All right,
at least it's not me. That's good. I'm happy with that.
All right, last one we have here for you, Evan. So he has Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. He was offered Russell Wilson and Justin Jefferson for Lamar Jackson and Cortland Sutton. So should he accept Wilson and Jefferson? It's a 1 QB league, so that's a little bit confusing. But basically, if he's getting Russell Wilson, Justin Jefferson for Lamar Jackson and Cortland Sutton in a 1 QB league, what side do you want?
Yeah, so this one is a bit weird, but yeah, I would say that in a 1 QB league, as much as it's awesome, you're never going to be able to play both of them anyways. So I would want to I think Justin Jefferson, I mean, he was my wide receiver 1 going into the season. So I expect him to be able to bounce back, So I think that, yeah, it's awesome to have both those guys, but you're always just going to sit and be frustrated that you've got 30 points on your bench every week because you can't play both of them. So other than that 1 week when it's my week, you can play the other one. Other than that, being able to upgrade to Justin Jefferson, who I still expect to have a really good season, would be pretty awesome. I would like to try and maybe see if we could trade somebody that's not Cortland Sutton. He is playing pretty well. But, in theory, I like the idea, if you're in a 1 QB league, of trading away one of those elite quarterbacks to get an elite wide receiver or something like that, just to make the rest of your squad better.
Yeah, I 100% agree because that exact reason, because it is a 1 quarterback league and he already has Josh Allen. Chances are he started Josh Allen for the first 3 weeks, and he's got Lamar Jackson scoring what he's scoring right now on his bench, not helping his team at all. If you can move him, honestly, he could take Russell Wilson out of that equation.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's why, for me, I'm like, just trade Lamar Jackson for JJ straight up if it's 1 QB, if that's what the guy wants to do or something like that. You don't worry about Russell Wilson. You're never going to start Russell Wilson over Josh Allen.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly right. So yeah, I agree 100% for that reason. If we're talking super flex leagues, different story. But in a 1 QB league, Ryan's got the thumbs up because we have a good internet connection.
He's going to send smoke signals for his answers the rest of the show.
We got to learn sign language, Ryan. All right, let's get to our last segment of the night.
Get ready. for goingfor2.com's Forgotten Fantasy Player of the Week.
All right, Forgotten Fantasy Player.
Sorry, you cut out there. Is it me?
Yep.
Yeah, so I've actually gone for, like, this guy just crossed my mind the other day, and I don't even know if anybody ever thinks about him anymore. But, like, do you guys remember Quincy Enunwa?
Quincy Enunwa.
Wide
Yeah.
receiver for the New York Jets.
Yes.
I just remember him, like, being a usable asset, and then he got injured and was out for, like, a whole year. And then he came back and he started out really good. And I just remember being, like, a real hot waiver wire ad and everyone, like, wanting him so bad and, like, fighting him. Like we're talking about now, these random dudes just, like, you fight about and you're, like, so excited. And then, like, they just become nothing ever again. You know, nobody thinks about them. And I'm just like, yeah, you know what? Let's pour one out for Quincy Enunwa. He was a dude, like, at one point for the New York Jets, thinking about all the Jets wide receivers that we're worried about now, and that we're wanting to play, and we're hoping that kind of can meet their potential. And it just made me think of Quincy Enunwa.
Yes, I love that's a great one because I think I had him in my dynasty league, and I kept having to put him back on IR because he kept getting injured.
Yes.
I kept holding on to him, thinking like, all right, he's back, he's going to be good this year, and then every time it's like, brutal.
Him and Bilal Powell.
Bilal Powell.
Bilal Powell.
Wow. Get a 2-for-1 tonight. Bilal Powell and Quincy Enunwa. I love it. All right, that wraps the podcast up. We finally got Ryan with some good service. So let's go to him real quick before he cuts out again. Ryan, tell us where we can follow you at and plug anything you want to plug.
Quickly, Twitter, Foss534. Here Wednesday nights over the Armchair Fantasy Show. Find me at the Rookie Big Board, Dynasty Big Board podcast comes out Wednesday mornings.
Good stuff. Evan, where can we follow you at and plug your podcast one more time?
Twitter at FFEvolution, podcast Dynasty debates on all the major podcast listening platforms. Like I said, 2 shows a week, Dynasty focused, but a lot of awesome guests. Had Joe Pepe on this week, having Bob Harris on next week. So a lot of great guests. And I do writing and ranking over at Dynasty Nerds. So I do Superflex Tight End Premium rankings and write a weekly flex article in season. That's where you can find me.
Good stuff. All right, guys, as always, you can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. Of course, you can check out the show every Wednesday night. We're also Friday nights for our DFS show with Gerson and Tim. And as always, all the Going for 2 live shows that we have a pregame show tomorrow night. The Dynasty Gambit does a great pregame show before the Thursday night game. We got doubleheader Friday. We got doubleheaders on Saturday. We got the Sunday morning show that can get you ready for the game. So just make sure you check out the Going for 2 live network on YouTube and subscribe and follow that. And we'll take care of all your fantasy football needs. For Evan, for Ryan, I'm Jeff, and we will see y'all next week.